What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today I'm going to be going through a couple of logic puzzles. I'll demonstrate exactly how these work, but this is a specific lesson for the students that I'm actually teaching for one class that they're going to do while I'm gone. So if you're here just to learn about logic puzzles, then I hope this is helpful. If you're here because you're my student, then I also really hope this is helpful. But anyway, the idea of a logic puzzle is that we have this grid of options here, and for instance, we have a whole bunch of people who've bought pets. And in the case of this puzzle, each person only bought one pet, and each pet was only bought by one person. So if I know, for instance, that Bill bought the cat, I don't know yet that that's true because I haven't solved the puzzle. But if I find out that that's true, then I know for a fact that no one else bought the cat, or that Bill didn't buy anything else, and that no one else bought the cat. So that's the basic idea of how these work. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll do this one and the one just below this one on this page. So the clues that we have tell us who did and who didn't buy which animals. To start with, nobody bought a pet which started with the same letter as their first name. So we have Bill, Jen, Roger, and Susan, B, J, R, and S. Over here we have a cat, a dog, a monkey, and a snake, C, D, M, and S. The only matching first letters between animal and name are Susan and the snake. So that tells me Susan did not buy the snake. I'll put an X in that box because I know that Susan didn't buy the snake. Next, Bill already has a dog. That tells me that Bill did not buy the dog. Next, Jen is afraid of snakes. That tells me that Jen did not buy the snake. Next, Roger did not choose the snake. That tells me that Roger didn't choose the snake. Now, it's at this point that we can actually put down something that we do know, or a combination of person and pet that we know, like one actually bought the other. Because if we know that Jen, Roger, and Susan all didn't buy the snake, and we know that someone had to buy the snake, who's the only person left? That's going to be Bill. And because we put a check here, we know that if Bill bought the snake, he didn't buy the monkey, he didn't buy the dog, which we already knew, and he didn't buy the cat. So that's this idea that if we know that Bill bought the snake, no one else bought the snake, Bill didn't buy anything else. So if we fill in a check, we can fill in X's everywhere else in that row and column. So let's keep going with the clues. Neither Jen nor Susan like monkeys. That means Jen didn't get the monkey, Susan didn't get the monkey. So I think we can see that we have another thing here that we do know. Because if Bill didn't get the monkey, Jen didn't get the monkey, and Susan didn't get the monkey, who had to get the monkey? Well, that would be Roger, which means that Roger didn't buy the snake, which we already knew. He didn't buy the dog, and he didn't buy the cat. So now we've narrowed it down to just two sets of possibilities. Jen or Susan bought the cat or the dog. So let's look at the clues here. Jen did not choose the cat. If Jen didn't choose the cat, the only pet left that she could have bought is the dog, which means that no one else bought the dog. Susan did not buy the dog, which means Susan must have bought the cat. So what we've done is we've gone through each of these clues, knocked out things that we knew couldn't have been true, until we figured out finally that Bill bought the snake, Jen bought the dog, Roger bought the monkey, and Susan bought the cat. So that's the basic idea of how we do these. So the next puzzle, you can see it looks a bit trickier, a little bit more complicated. Now we have three things that we're putting together. We have the names, the colors of, the favorite colors of each of these people, Angela, Lisa, and Susan, and then we have the actual pets that they bought. So let's go ahead and just go through the clues one more time. To start with, Lisa, whose favorite color is not green, okay? That means I'm going to look for where names meet colors. Where Lisa meets green, I'm going to put an X down because the clue told me that Lisa's favorite color is not green. But it does say that she has a fish. Lisa, whose favorite color is not green, has a fish. So for Lisa, I'm going to come over to where it says fish. I know that that's true. And if I know that Lisa bought the fish, Angela didn't get the fish, Susan didn't get the fish, Lisa didn't get the dog, Lisa didn't get the cat. So that was the first clue. Next clue, Susan's favorite color is red. That means I'm going to look for names and colors. Susan and red. Since Susan does like the color red, I'll put my check there. And I'll put X's everywhere else in that row and column. And notice how I'm not putting X's all the way down the rest of the column or the rest of the row. It's just in this little self-contained box here that I can put stuff down. So if I know all of this, I can actually go ahead and fill in some other information. Because if Susan's favorite color isn't green and Lisa's favorite color isn't green, that means only Angela can have her favorite color of green. And if Lisa doesn't like green or red, Lisa has to like blue. And that does mean that Angela doesn't like blue because it would break both of these two pieces of information that we just found. All right, so that was clue 1 and clue 2. Finally, clue 3, the kid who likes green also has a dog. So that means whoever likes green has a dog. I'll put my check there and knock out everything else in that row and column. So if the kid who likes green has a dog, they can't have a cat or a fish, and the dog cannot be owned by the person who likes blue or the person who likes red. So now that I've gotten through all the clues, this is where I'm going to have to fill in some blanks. Specifically, if I know that Angela likes green and that the person who owns the dog likes green, then that means that Angela has to own the dog. So I'm basically putting together groups of 3 pieces of information so I can put some more checks down. In this case, it's Angela, dog, and green, because we can see the 2 checks in the green column next to Angela and the dog. So Angela has the dog. That takes care of those because they're in the same row and column, which means that only Susan can have the cat. All right, so finally, let's go ahead and look at Susan, because Susan likes red. Susan has a cat. What that tells me is that the person who has a cat must like red. So now I'm putting together another group of 3 pieces of information: Susan, red, and cat. So that makes it so that the person who has the cat likes red. We knock out this X in the same row. We knock out this box in the same column. And finally, we know that the person who likes blue has a fish, which makes sense because Lisa likes blue, and Lisa also has a fish. Now for this one, that does give you this little box so you can fill in this information. So Angela likes green and has a dog. Lisa likes blue and has a fish. And finally, Susan likes red and has a cat. So we see that with these 3 kids, they each have exactly one favorite color and exactly one pet. And if we look all around this grid, we'll see matching links. In fact, I'll kind of trace them in the same column here. So we see that Angela, green, and dog are all related. We have Susan, red, and cat. Those are all related. And finally, we have the fish. We have Lisa, and we have the color blue. Those are all related as well. So that's how we basically solve this kind of logic puzzle, from something like this where you just have one grid to something like this where you have a few grids in one. It's all about looking at the clues to see what you can knock out and filling in pieces of information, that kind of filling in the blanks as well.